This one is called the 3 P's cluster: principle, policy, and personality. This is how it comes about. So let's just say you're in an organization and that organization seems to be fairly rigid, or you have rules that you have to follow, policies that just don't seem to make a lot of sense, right? Let me give you the definitions and then explain how to move into acceptance in such an organization. For me, it was organized religion, the corporate world. Those were all examples of where these 3 words, had I understood them earlier, would have probably been a great asset for me to move into a much more acceptance state versus the existing resistance that I held toward them, and then I had to work on that. Principle, by definition, is a universal concept or idea based on truth that is applicable in any situation. That's why we argue to get your foxhole or your container principle-based. So no matter where you are, who you are, what culture you belong to, in my experience, the fact that we're hardwired to connect is universal. So it's a principle. There isn't anyone on earth, no matter where you're born, who doesn't want trust and respect in their relationships, doesn't want to be independent, dependent, independent, and interdependent, who doesn't want to feel that the 3 A's, who doesn't want to have those feelings of affinity and connection to another human being. Okay, that's a principle. Policy is a set of guidelines allegedly based on principles. And this is where the disconnect started happening to me. I would see policies implemented inside my organizations that I went to, either my church, my work, that didn't seem to be principle-based, and I could never figure out why. They'd tell me to do stuff, and it didn't follow what I felt was the principles that I adhered to. Now I know why. Personality is a collection of experiences spanning multiple generations that is applied subconsciously. So you have a new manager. That manager is scared to death to make decisions that are wrong, so that manager follows the rules so specifically, and then with time starts developing his or her own rules. Those become policies. Those policies are not always principle-based. They're personality-driven. The challenge that I've always had is that when I get a policy, Himmer, this is how you have to do it. This is what you need to do. And I would say, why? They said, that's just the policy. That's hiding behind policy. I don't have a problem following a policy if I got the principle to adhere to it. But if there's no principle to adhere to that policy, it's challenging for any human being, not just me, to follow said policy if it's an individual personality. Leaders, organizational leaders, people, parents, for crying out loud, you want to invite people into space of growth, maximum growth, creativity, innovativeness. Get rid of your immaculate perceptions and your biases. Focus on your your principles to create the policies. And many times you can invite those people with whom or over whom the policies will preside to be part of the policy-making decision. As a parent, so often my wife and I just invited our children in to figure out the solutions to where we're going and create a family policy that the kids then created that was all based on principle. It's a massive difference. That's acceptance. It gives you a higher probability of going into the flow. So again, to focus, any policies that get made, if they're principle-based, will have a higher probability of adherence. All right. Thanks for listening.